risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you get a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 3rd, and today we get to look towards some economic data. Beginning of the month data starting to come out now after a relatively quiet week. I have to say, yesterday was kind of interesting action, and we already talked about a lot, but you know, the action was different. The volume was different, and there was actually two-way flow yesterday. Now, with that said, we are up higher overnight. If we come back over here to our charts, let's pull up the volume profile here. So there was yesterday, you know, all of this noise, pretty big outside bar, but then in the end, at the close, there was a huge buy side imbalance. So in the end, the market on close orders ended up having us up, which was kind of funny and interesting that they ended up being that wrong still. And this apparently is still a problem. Anyways, and since then in the Asian session, we've kind of drifted a little bit higher. We are now up at that 3080 level. Well above that now. They're going to be trying to tag 3100 for sure. After that, though, I think that we need to be a little cautious because there's going to be a lot, and I mean a lot of resistance around the 3100 level, right? So, and we're still being told that this probably isn't going to be a V recovery. So, in other words, the chances. Where is this? Sometimes I don't have the pen open. The chances of just getting this are extremely low. So, anyways. What about treasuries? Treasuries are down. They did fail and broke a slightly lower area. So whatever it was that kind of triggered people and it triggered the buying up in here, they've given it up once again. There's still this point of control down at 14.5. We'll see. What about some of the currencies? I can see the dollar not as bad as it was, but it's still in the 97.5 area. I continue to see gold sell, and a little bit of movement in the Japanese yen, but not even close to compared to what it was yesterday. So that's kind of where we're at. Let's look at what is the news. Bitcoin's still down, but trying to recover. Move the economic releases over here. So we've got 80. Oh, we got the 80 employment changes already come through and was negative at 2,760 compared to the negative 9,000. Well, it's actually million. That's 9 million. Negative 2 million versus negative 9 million. So it was actually a lot better than was expected. And we're coming in here. We're going to have labor productivity for Canada. Oh, and that doesn't really matter. Nobody cares about Canada. But at 7:45, we got PMIs. So we got PMIs. We got ISMs at 10. Those are important. Might be kind of really messy, weird trading until then. And, yeah. let's see here. Private payrolls down almost 3 million. Dow streams up another 200 points per market. But Sunday Driver, they were expecting 9 million. It was what? Well, it was negative 2.7. So it was 6.3, right? It was 6.3 million better than expected. I mean, if you want to call that, it's bad, but it's better than expected. It's not. Anyways, I get how you feel, but like here's the thing. We're gonna have a double dip. The system is not collapsing at the moment. There's maybe there could still be stuff with mortgages, I guess, and I'm a little concerned about what happens when unemployment benefits end. But as long as the system's not collapsing, then you just make your recovery, right? Dow will cross 100,000. I didn't even watch the Dow. Does anybody? I don't even understand why that index still exists, to be honest with you. It's just, you know what? It's fun for charting. The Dow for some reason does seem to react to technical analysis type things a little bit better than the SPY does, but I don't care about it. The Dow. What was this guy in the lobby was saying here? They were talking about the protests were less violent last night, but that protesters have been protesting for a long time, are probably tired and are going to gear up to come out over the weekend, which he's probably right. Doesn't that take away from the real issue, which is largely ignored and failed to be addressed countless times? Well, here's where I think there's kind of going to be a thing. I don't think that everybody agrees on what is the real issue, right? Because the problem that you've got is that in the face of persistent lawlessness, people are prone to give the police leeway in how they execute the law, because in the interest of public safety. That's the decision that we have made as a society. And there have been, like what Rudy Giuliani did in New York. You go in and you say, where is the crime happening? And you put the police officers where the crime is. Well, guess where that's going to put everybody? It's just the way the stats are, man. So you're really talking about a larger debate, which is one over public safety versus police abuse of power. Which one do you think that people care about
Sunday Driver
more?
says the Dow made sense when we were a free market economy. Less sense now that we are centrally planned. You used to be able to do all right with Dow theory or Dow dividend strategies.
The problem is that the index itself really just does not. The companies that are chosen and everything, there's not enough in there to really truly reflect what the economy is like. And there's a whole thing with there's the Dow and the Dow transports and everything, but that's all old stuff. Quite frankly, I'm wondering if there will be a time where people are going to be more interested in the Russell than the E-mini. It's going to happen if it could happen if small businesses become a more important part of the economy, and I think most people agree that they should, and I think that there is a trend that could happen. Then there could be a point where the Russell is more important to us. Anyways. But there's kind of, so like, the reason why I bring it up is because I made a post the other day about this, what was this? I don't even remember the name of the cop, but there was a retired police chief that was defending a store, and the looters killed him. And Donald Trump tweeted his picture last night. So I thought I would come in and stir things up, and told people, like, this guy was good. Why don't you honor this guy? And it quite upset people. It quite upset people, which says to me that we have stumbled upon the line of reasoning or logic that bothers people. And if that is the line of reasoning or logic that bothers people, that's probably the way that it's going to go. So the debate is going to be, if Black Lives Matter, which Black Lives matter more than the others? Do you care more about the lives of the uh, Black people that are doing the right thing and are good people and running businesses and building their community? Or do you care more about people like George Floyd that were drug addicts and robbing people and so on and so forth? That's what it's going to turn into. That's what it's going to turn into, because that's the argument that pisses people off. And it's a legitimate question, but sure, you're right. It doesn't fix the issue of, like, is there police abuse of power or police brutality? Sure, there is, but I think you'll be surprised to find that not everybody has that as their top priority. Mm. I had another post that people really like, but we talk about that one later. Talk about that later. I think that just from what I'm seeing right now, there is definitely some downside pressure on the bonds. Um, maybe it's going to flip back the other way. See, I could probably get filled at 19.5, but well, why not? Why not? It doesn't matter. We'll just try it. But if we take it, I'm not even looking for this, right? But just from the looks of things, I'm thinking that the treasuries are probably going to pull back a little bit, and the E-mini will continue to just kind of chop sideways.
Sunday Driver says, what are you looking for to see preliminary signs of inflation?
In the numbers? Well, signs of inflation, that is an interesting thing. I do think they were going to see inflation. But I'm not sure if those are really the things that matter right now in terms of data. You know, I think that it matters much more how much things get spinning back up, and or rather how quickly things are spinning back up, and how much of it actually does come back up, or rather when everything's back up, how much was actually lost. Because we have a really difficult time at the moment really knowing what the true impact of it is, right? Like, if we come in and we see a 10% decline in GDP, and then we have a 7% increase in GDP, and then in net we lost 3% GDP, something like that, right? That end number that you get at the end of the year is the number that um, kind of matters, and that we have a very difficult time calculating right now. And every time that these manufacturing numbers and so on and so forth come out, that kind of helps us see, well, already telling me that that spot was bad. I'm gonna just let it stop out naturally, but they could be in for like a real swinger of a day because once you bust through some of these levels down on the bottom, oh yeah, then now you're really starting to talk about a possible very dramatic decline because then they're really saying that the economy has really improved so quickly and so much that the Federal Reserve is going to have to think about increasing interest rates much more quickly than the market was originally anticipating, even if that's still like a year out. But oh, Brannigan making a good call with equities straight line bid, oil's straight line bid, and now the dollar throwing in the white towel. There's one last domino to fall. Given the positioning, there is a nasty offer coming in gold. 1600 is the downside target, and the current price is 1720. When I see things like that, I mean, it doesn't always, but now that we're down here, that kind of says to me that they can just keep going. I do find it interesting that the market didn't really react to the ADP data. Idaho out town taken over by armed patriot patrols amid rumors Antifa headed there. People seem to really be interested in that story when it's like it's Idaho. Like they probably all were out in the. Well, they say that Antifa has headed there, but like it's basically like, oh yes, everybody in town is a gun-toting conservative. Yes, who would have thunk? Yeah, look at that. They just bust through 3,000. Well, he's going to give him some fight there, I guess. As that's happening and seeing some kind of odd behavior over here in the E-mini as well. That is a pretty big amount. They could just, they could just bust through that though in the end though. So something I've seen in times like this is you get a really big bid and it'll come back up a little bit and then it'll just slowly fade back down again like it was not a thing. Like it never happened. He's holding a big, strong bid there. See how far it comes back. Do you think that when extended unemployment benefits end, that the market will care more about our employment data? Because their market really didn't care about that ADP number at all. I guess the treasuries were kind of moving down already before that, but look at it. I mean, they had a pretty good bid there, and then the floor just dropped out from under it. Now they're catching a bid, but the bid is not even getting them past the balance area. It's not actually bouncing yet. It just kind of went good. We're gonna have to come up with we're gonna have to talk about a bunch of stuff today because I really don't
Sunday
know.
Driver says the market is a zombie, propped alive by massive government infusions.
Yeah, well, there are parts of the market that are being propped up. I don't think that the drive up that we're having is really just completely government infusions. I don't know. So I'm having a hard time reconciling the PE ratios, right? When you get PE ratios this high, something has to give. Means that the earnings either have to be way, way, way better than people are expecting, or there's, you know. But I think that it's really more that the government gave people a lot of money and they put it all into the stock market, and that's what's moving it up. So when that liquidity disappears, if it ever does, I mean, the thing is they're talking about another stimulus package. So this is the thing that's so crazy is that they're saying, well, we're probably going to need another stimulus package. And I'm like, really? Like, you looking at the markets? You see what they did with that money. You think that they need more? Okay. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. But, if that goes away, they don't necessarily have to move down, right? Because people can still say, oh, it could be balanced at that point. Or we go down to what is like true value or something like that. It doesn't have to be like a retest of the March lows, you know? I'm kind of starting to think that maybe to have a retest of the March lows that we need um, a shooter drop, you know? Well, one thing could be the election. I personally don't think that the markets will do as well with Joe Biden and a Democrat Congress and things like that. And some polling seems to be suggesting that it's what will happen. I don't think I've seen any polling that factors in all of these riots and everything, and that's going to be really difficult to Hill, Trump shifting after threat to deploy troops. Right. He threatened to deploy troops, but so now they're saying that it's already too late and that it's okay? I don't know.
Sunday Driver says, does the E in PE ever have to plummet if government infusions never end? MMT suggests that it can never end. BS, I think. But Democrats are likely to pursue MMT if they sweep the board.
No, I don't think they will. I think that there's enough smart people in Congress that would say no if they tried to put the real MMT people in there. But not only that, but I think that some of the pillars of MMT are kind of crumbling here, don't you think? Because one of the pillars is our discovery that low interest rates is deflationary. I think now that we've pushed things basically back to zero, and you're still not seeing a real. While we did have an uptick in food prices, that might have been because of giving people money directly, but it's still deflationary. And so there's this thing where basically if you start to use MMT, you would just like never grow. I think that's a really big hit. I think that's a really big hit to their economic theory. What else is there? Then the other side of it here is the moral hazard thing. Like there is no question anymore that we have fallen into a moral hazard trap. There's no question about it. Like it is like in everything now. Like every decision that you can look at in government, society, whatever, all of these major stories that you can look at, there is an element of moral hazard in it. Right? Well, that's a pretty strong bid coming in the 5-year now. They dumped just to
Sunday
shake me.
Driver
Now
says
they
they'll
do
use MMT to fund Green New Deal, racial equality programs,
slavery reparations.
reparations, etc. I don't think they care about moral hazard anymore.
No, probably not. They'll talk about it. They'll try and push it and force the Republicans to stop it. But they won't actually put it up if they really thought that it was going to go through. Market Year tweets CTAs, where are they running risk? The CTAs we track closely is out with the latest monthly report. The fund was down almost 2% in May. The biggest positives to profit and loss came from natural gas, MXN, NASDAQ, and the biggest losers from crude, Brent, and the euro. The most interesting is where they have deployed more or less risk. We can see VAR has increased in fixed income and fixed equities, while VAR has decreased in commodities and FX. Looks equities are getting more momentum chasing love from the CTAs. Hence why it's so easy to trade the E-mini right now. Well, are they going to come right back up to where I was? Where was I? Oh, I was way up. I was way out there. Never mind. Never mind. I was way out there. Took that move on the bounce. It was, this is the one where I'm like, I don't really know what the where the pressure comes from. So how am I to know where's the right spot? Showed that one was an okay spot. It did hold for a little while, but Then when you look at the volume, it's very much coming back the other way. Should I go in? I should go in so that they hit it. They hit it down again. I don't know. Where's the? Let me see here. 270 to win. I think has one. Yeah, some of these are still wrong. Like McSally in Arizona, it's probably not going to win. As an example. I would have to go through and look at, like, really. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be like 50-50. Or maybe the Democrats could have a 2 to 4 person lead. Of course. Well, there goes the E-mini going up, pushing towards that 3100 again. There's new high. See all will we see all the trend followers coming in? We're not seeing it this time the way that we have been. Well, it might be 20 million to 2, but they're all driving for Uber or Amazon. That's funny. That was a kind of a weak break. Maybe there's more in the move though. I don't know what it means, but hmm. Like it doesn't look done yet. In fact, the treasuries even seem to be looking like afraid, ticking down and all. Where's my? Yeah, I want that chart. Hmm. And this just doesn't look like a move that I'm really excited to get involved in. Like it kind of looks like they're all afraid of 3100 maybe. Maybe if we cross it. No, when you get a situation like that, sometimes they can surprise you and you cross 3100 and then this big offer here flips and they just go and go and then it comes back over the other way. I remember seeing that when treasuries were hitting 4%, for instance, or was it 2% or 3? Anyways, there was something like that and it seemed like it was like the craziest run through it and then it came back later and ended up being not a big deal. It was just a clever trade setup in the end. The Hill opinion writes will delay their recovery. Well, market doesn't seem to think so. Market doesn't seem to agree with you, Mister. Who wrote it? Who wrote it? Christos A. Markitis. Mhm. It would destroy consumer confidence. That's probably true. Yeah, they come back. I got to be really careful with this chart over here. When I look over at this chart, my upper right, and I look at that peak and I'm like, wow, that was really big. But then I realize it was only a point. This might not actually be it's not really a huge deal when you zoom out. This has been a slow 30 minutes, guys. Slow, 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 slow. Blah, 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 blah. Going through a lot of different thoughts in my head about the last few weeks. I really think I made this post. It was like about the moral hazard thing because, like, honestly, everything is like a moral hazard now, right? It's like you don't have a responsibility to protect yourself from infectious disease. The government will just force everybody to stay home. You aren't responsible if your company was shackled with excessive debt from, uh, share buybacks. It's not your fault. The government should cover for you by buying bond ETFs. Uh, you can't pay your mortgage. That's not your fault. The government forced you to stay home, so rent should just be canceled. Right? Like the whole thing is like every little step along the way is kind of like trying to pass the buck off onto to somebody else. Even with this protest movement, like, do you realize, guys, that if you're concerned about police brutality, that you can write your own laws, you can get your own um, candidates elected, and do it. But they're all kind of expecting somebody else to do it for them. Like, you can walk around the city all you want. Doesn't They're not changing anything. Got to go write the laws. Go write the laws. Spare us the looting. You want to make those changes? Take responsibility. Take responsibility for situations in which there's lawlessness in your communities. You're never going to get anywhere without taking personal responsibility for things. When I take a trade and it's a losing trade, ain't nobody going to feel bad for me, right? I'm the only one responsible for this. It was my choice, my strategy. Most people are going to lose money. That's just what happens. Why is it 5K at 19? That is really weird. That is really, really weird. I think the issue is that the further out that we try and push the responsibility, the more the more pain we have to endure to unwind it. This is a scary thought. Like, if we have to get to 4% interest rates to get real growth anymore, 4% interest rate would really hurt markets right now. I'm wondering if this is a spike, like they're going to push this so much higher, or if it's something else. Oops, that's not what I wanted at all. Let's try one with a really, really tight. So this could just be all a trick to get for this guy to get filled at 20 so he can dash it down again. I feel like shortness of breath now. It's too hot in here. That's the problem. It just kind of feel like suffocating. Okay, so they go bid. Can see a couple of the equities guys trying to go short here. It does kind of seem like, hey, how are you gonna, like, they kind of have to sell at the moment, don't they? When you have so much overnight, and there was all that stuff at the close and everything. Yeah. So when all of that volume going long was at the
RJ Wheel
close,
says like.
that kind of makes me nervous. And now this stuff that we're seeing in the treasuries. In 3.5 years, I've done more for our black population than Joe Biden has done in 43 years. Actually, he set them back big time with his crime bill, which he doesn't even remember. I've done more for black Americans, in fact, than any president in U.S. history, with the possible exception of another Republican president, the late great Abraham Lincoln. And it's not even close. The Democrats know this, and so does the fake news, but they refuse to write or say it because they are inherently corrupt. See pinned above. And I don't know what his pin tweet is. Let's go look. Let's go look. Past opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott, guaranteed funding for HBCUs.
RJ Wheel says there's so much chatter about defunding police. Having other services provide agents to administer traffic accidents and mental health incidents.
School choice, criminal justice reform, lowest black employment, poverty, and crime rates in history.
RJ Wheel says recipe for disaster.
Right. So this is the problem, that there's kind of a number of problems that this movement keeps having. Okay, I'm not saying that there's not police brutality and that there's not things that we can do about it. Okay, like this thing that happened with Floyd shouldn't have happened. Okay, but let's just I'm kind of put it under the umbrella of Black Lives Matter, because we had the Black Lives Matter movement and it fizzled out, right? And not a whole lot got done. Why is that?
Sunday Driver says Republicans constantly chasing the black vote. They are chasing a will-o-wisp. They will never get the black vote. Lol.
That might, well, I would not say never. Like, it's one of those things that when it switches really fast, and you'll be really surprised by it. Probably not right now, though. They're just it's not, I think one of the things is that we always kind of associate it with, it's because it's black people, but it really has more to do with the income group, and it just happens that the black, what do we call it, constituency is pretty poor right now. There you go. That did not even give you a chance to fill. Okay, cool. Anyways, and poor voters tend to not be as informed and tend to vote more as a block. So, yeah, if something happened, they switched, it could be really fast. Donald Trump has made some inroads, and he's actually probably made enough inroads on it that it concerns Democrats, but probably not anymore. I think that Democrats are probably feeling really good right now. We'll see if it actually turns out that way in the polling. I can't really comment on it too much without seeing a whole lot numbers, But anyways, so the problems. Okay, so there's a couple of problems. The first problem that I see is that the people in charge are not experienced. So you basically have a lot of situations I've personally seen around here, and just when I'm reading about events
RJ Wheel
or
says blacks
watching
actually
events.
have a lot in common with Republicans in terms of religion and family values.
Maybe, but I don't think that anybody really cares too much about that stuff and how they vote at the moment. A lot of it turns into like they're just the black person that's there and is willing to talk. You know what I mean? So in many situations, you have people that don't really know how the political system works, don't really know how the legal system works, and therefore don't know how to get anything done. And that is the first and foremost most primary problem. All right. The secondary problem, though, is that the things that are asked for are generally unrealistic. Like the protesters that I've seen over in Democrat cities are saying defund the police or abolish. They want to get rid of the police.
RJ Wheel says just saying there's an inroad to press.
It's like, it's like, yeah, that's never going to happen, guys. I like really. Can you imagine? Just think about it from the perspective of any other voter outside of the people that are protesting. Ah, there's people on my street corner ripping the street up and saying that we shouldn't have police anymore. I think that we should give them what they want and just not have police to protect us from them. Like, really? Really? That is a very poor argument, guys. This is a poor, like, what are you thinking? How could you be so dumb? They're not. They're not. They're not going to get rid of it. What they're going to do is they're going to say, "Hey, that guy, I don't care about his rights anymore." That's what they're going to say. That's what happens.
Sunday Driver says at RJ Wheel they've been saying that for decades. Black vote has not budged.
It's a dumb argument that they're trying to make, and it really hurts their cause, right? And then there's a third thing that's kind of related, and that is that they let themselves get infiltrated by extremists. So when the Black Lives Matter movement did their little manifesto, like these are the things that they want, they put all of these
RJ
hyper
Wheel says, but now
liberal.
after decades of Democrat voting, where are they?
I was slow, too slow. I was too slow. When I did my original trade, I really should have put a double stop in there, like if they were going to hit into that. Well, I don't know if I can take 18, so.
Sunday Driver says Republicans should take a page from the Democrats and do things for the people who vote for them. White working class needs relief, and they are always ignored.
I don't know. I feel like that they getting everything that they want.
Sunday Driver says Trump should do things specifically for whites and call it out as such.
No, I don't think that would work. I think you're crazy, dude. I think you're crazy. That would not, no. One of the things that you got to realize is that the whole like you vote for people that do stuff
RJ
for
Wheel
you.
says like bring back Merry Christmas.
It's a subconscious thing. People don't sit and say, I'm gonna vote for person X because he's promising me money.
Ivan O says
It's
morning.
not conscious. It's not conscious. It's they make the decision based on what is in their monetary interests, and then they make up a justification for it afterwards to try and explain to everybody else. That's why when you look at a lot of Democrat political arguments, they make so little sense. It's because they're trying to come up with the argument after they've already uh, hitched their wagon. Would you look at that? And they went through it like butter. I can do that. Or maybe that's going to be where they stop. I don't know. The bids just got creamed. So I need to deal with the heat in here. It's just I feel like I can't breathe. These Nest thermostats, they're just not working out super great for me.
Sunday Driver says Trump could win by exciting the white base. Chasing black votes gets him nothing. They
No,
won't turn. Nixon had his Southern strategy. Trump needs a white strategy. Lol. It would work.
I think you're crazy, dude.
RJ Wheel says I think Trump won in 16 with a white strategy.
No. I don't know, dude. I think you're kind of saying crazy things. I think that Donald Trump won because Hillary Clinton was an idiot. Poor candidate.
RJ Wheel says completely agree Seth. He didn't win, she lost.
I mean, we can't ignore that Donald Trump was a skilled politician and that he did a lot of interesting things, but it wasn't a racial thing. It was an ideological thing that Republicans have been pushing for a long time, and this is the issues with globalism.
RJ Wheel says but he hung in with dog whistles for whites.
And
He W.
it's not, anti-globalism is not a dog whistle for whites. Like if anybody benefits from pushing back against globalism, it's African Americans, right? So I really don't think that was it. And there's reasons why he's able to make inroads with black voters. One of the things that I find so funny is that Joe Biden, anytime that he
Sunday Driver says Trump is just another boomer Republican. Low taxes for the rich. Nothing for his base.
I don't know. The base is pretty happy with everything that he's been doing. But the thing is that it seems to me like the base doesn't care so much about the money. The base cares more about just fighting back against Democrat policies. So I think that this is just an overly simplistic view. But man, look at him go. When the E-mini is pushing there, then the bonds just get slaughtered. I wonder who those buyers were back up there. Are they going to be people that are going to have to puke, or were they just hedgers? Haven't touched 3,100 quite yet. they're probably gonna set them up so that that's like out the gate what they do, and then
RJ Wheels says mainstream media didn't report yesterday Biden after speech in talking to parish owners talked about training police to shoot the legs not the heart of unarmed attackers with a knife.
was that
RJ
yesterday
Wheels
that he
says
said
unarmed
that?
with a knife?
Yeah. So the thing that I find funny is that Joe Biden, anytime that he opens his mouth, he says something stupid. And right now, people aren't really paying attention. And then he'll do a photo op, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at him! He's so great!" It's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's a staged photo, guys. So there was this photo yesterday. Was the one? What was the one that yesterday that they were all hearts about? He was at a black church in front of a bunch of black people, and he was on his knees, and that was what everybody was going gaga about. I'm sitting here like, man, if that's how you win elections in this country,
RJ Wheels says if he's not talking about Bo, he's off the rails.
We're in real trouble if that's how you get people to vote for you in the United States of America today. Well, there was about 911 that went into 15 half. He's still trying to squeeze for that 3,100, so they might do it just before the open. There's somebody's doing something there at 16. There's always something at 16 in there. And it's the same over here in the 5-year, the 4,000 and everything. It's kind of interesting how it works, but do you see here? This is a really great example today of where order flow can screw you up if you don't really know what's going on. And I don't really know what's going on, but there was some big bids and they just went through like a hot knife through butter. Right? It didn't matter at all. The order flow where the absorption is has been completely irrelevant. They're going through it. I'm a little cautious and weary about this though because this is starting to look like capitulation in the bonds. And if there's capitulation in the bonds, then you get this chance of overextension, right? Okay, one more. There it is. 3,100. So Goldman was saying in the short term we could touch 3,100, and I think that some others have said 3,200. So we'll see who ends up being right on that one. But like all of the analysts are basically saying that this is like as high as we can go. And when we get there, you're seeing capitulation in certain assets. Gold is getting creamed. Gold is just getting absolutely creamed. It's hard to say where they go if they open up here and then they push up. We got 4 minutes till the open. Okay. Look, that 15.5 is not looking so hot.
Sunday Driver says gold is getting creamed. Though, its fundamentals have never been better.
How has its fundamentals never been better? If everybody thinks that that it's over and that it's safe to buy things and that we're going to have a normal recovery, why would anybody want to hold gold right now? Especially when gold really didn't end up being that effective of a flight to safety asset when things were getting crazy. The fundamentals are so think of it this way, because I think what you're saying, Sunday, is that the fundamentals are that there's going to be inflation or that central banks are pumping things up, and so you want to have an asset that you can go to that's not manipulated by the government, right? But the thing that you got to ask yourself is what percentage of the flow in gold actually is running off of that?
Sunday Driver says trillions and trillions of Fed spending. Dollar is on
Yeah.
a precipice. Once the tide goes out, it will drop.
So the number of retail traders trading based off of that is tiny compared to the number of CTAs and fund managers that bought gold and then on this whole run up have refused to get involved and are now chasing. And those guys are going to sell their gold to chase the index. Well, they touched it. They're getting a pretty good pullback. I haven't been feeling my best lately, and I think maybe I've eaten too much sugary food.
Sunday Driver says paper trading. You can't buy silver for its traded price.
Anyways, the flows are just definitely not favorable to gold right now. And the thing is there was a lot of people long in it. So yeah, the way that they're moving down, they could really keep moving down, couldn't they? The bonds, I'm not sure of. There's a limit on the bonds to how low they can go because the Federal Reserve's not going to raise interest rates anytime soon, right? Where that is, I'm not sure. Well, another 300 traded at 15.5, but okay, here comes the E-mini open, all buying. Okay, so they can take a step back here. The cumulative delta on the open actually didn't shift, even though it definitely looked like buying on like a bunch of people had just buy on the open set. Hmm. There you go. There's the overnight high bouncing back a little bit. Delta holding steady. Okay. A little bit of fight there. A little bit of volume coming through in the treasury. Both ways, really. Well, on the open, they've tried to go and make a new overnight high, but at the moment have not gone for it yet. And it's actually quite a lot of back and forth for the open. Normally, 1 minute chart doesn't look quite that bunched up. Or you can see it right here. Okay, so now they went. You see how messy it is? But that just means that they built a really good base for them to jump from. Look at that. This is not something that you can short, but like I kind of wonder about if tomorrow would be a good short. Now they're showing a big order at 15. In the 10-year. 15 in the 10-year, big bid. Kind of shifts things still bid. The way the books are balanced right now is kind of interesting because the 5-year is definitely pushing it down. But the 10-year is acting a little different. The 10 and the 30, in fact, are acting a little bit different. 10 and the 5-year have got these big orders down in here. Okay. So a little bit more of a pullback. 10-year ticks back up. Hmm. Okay, so then now they're passing the open. They're going to try the downside. The treasuries look a little concerned about that. They didn't really trade enough on the upside for it to be like for sure the top or anything like that, but anything can happen. I mean, it was a really strong up move. I don't know, man. That was like the weakest sell I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. They really bounced that easily. Well, I don't know if a move like that really means anything, but that was kind of funny, wasn't it? Do you see it there on the chart? How that deep V there? Like they sold and then it just immediately bounced back up.
Treasury_trader says it's not very unusual.
What's not very unusual? A drop like that? I I think the thing that bothers me is just the one wayness of it. Like it's been really extreme lately, but today it's like hyper. It's like hyper extreme, hyper long. Even though we're down below the open, there's just like there's not a lot of volume or interest down here yet. Could come. I mean, that's the kind of recipe for that sort of a thing to happen, isn't it? Is like you get all this one way flow, and then all of a sudden some key low point gets broken that nobody expected, and then everybody is all of a sudden wants to be short. But it looks to me like all of the big players are buying. Animals. You can hear my wife getting up. Yep. Man, there are people in chat trying to go short, but mm, that one doesn't fit to me. No.
Treasury_trader says looks like S is going to take out the highs.
They're heading that way. It's kind of weird how they got above the open and then they kind of lost interest for a moment.
RJ Wheel says gotta break lower support before shorting.
Yeah. There's just no indication of interest from sellers at the moment. Just look at what way it moves. When it moves up versus when it moves down, which side do you think is more anxious to enter into a position? Like, did you see that just a second ago where we slowly tick down like 4 or 5 ticks, and then all of a sudden it completely swept that up and made it a little bit higher, just like that? Which side do you think is more anxious to get in? Mm. The flow is just so one way at the moment, it feels like. Well, the cumulative delta did come back quite a bit. That was actually 3,000 contracts came back down when it went down. So if they go and they break a new high, it's going to be ugly.
Treasury_trader says not sure, just looks to me like it's taking out the highs.
Sure. I mean I agree with you. I have to be careful because I don't want to sit down and say like, oh yeah, it's really gonna hit the highs, and then it doesn't even I'll be like, Seth, you lied to us. I have no reason to believe that there's a high chance that we're gonna break the high again. But but when I watch it, it seems obvious to me that it's going to happen. And I don't know how to justify that or explain that, but it seems obvious to me like they're going to break another high. Okay. It was kind of a weird uptick there in the 10-year, but it didn't hold.
Treasury_trader says above 50% now.
Mm-hmm. They're still holding that 16 area. It's interesting to see 16.5 going offer. Okay. That was easy. This is another weird thing in the 10-year is like some of these bids will look like they're going to be stubborn and then they just takes nothing. It took 600 that one. Oh, not even 600, 200. Now the 15.5 is being a little bit more stubborn. But there's been I think that a lot more has to trade at 15.5. I mean, look, 45,000 traded at 16. No, only 9,000 have traded at
Treasury_trader says nowadays you have to buy any dip. Lol, Fed buying everything it seems to me. So weird how things are in the stock market.
Well, they're not. I mean, they're not. Like, that's the funny thing. You guys are buying it all, right? Like, so did you see the thing where the Federal Reserve went in and made public the bond ETF holdings that they had bought, and that the amount that they bought was far less than was anticipated because they didn't have to buy it up. You all did it for them.
Treasury_trader says I am still short since 3 weeks.
Short the E-mini or short the Treasury? I mean, if you're short the E-mini, then I don't know why
Treasury
you.
underscore trader says Dow Jones.
I don't know why
Treasury
you.
underscore trader says
Oh,
my stop
okay.
loss is about to get taken. Lol.
Okay. I thought maybe you were bragging, but you're. I get you. It looks like capitulation, doesn't it? Isn't that always the way that it happens to you though? Is you say like, "Oh, I think there's going to be, I think that we should move down in the E-mini. So I'm going to go short here." And then it doesn't and it goes against you and you're like, well, if I get stopped out, then it's going to turn right there." And so you do get stopped out and then yeah, it turns around and so next time you're like, "Oh, well, I should just take on more risk and let it go against me again." And then it's like you do that like 20 times and it'll keep going. Right. You ever had that experience? I'm sure most traders have been dumb and done that at least once, right? It feels like the capitulation though. It feels like that everybody that was short is reaching their breaking point here. And you can see it across a wide swath of asset classes. That doesn't mean that we're going to turn around tomorrow. I think it would probably take a lot longer and more than that, but there's something different about this today.
Moon
The
says
E-mini,
yep.
the the
Treasury underscore trader
yeah,
says yeah for sure.
the E-mini is only moving one direction really. It's actually been really slow about going up. Like we are now 20 minutes in and we've only gone up like a point. But the flow itself is only one way. That's a recipe because that is a if you're a big trader and you're already long, this is a dream, man. If you want out, this is a dream. It's giving you plenty of space and margin of error to exit without anybody noticing. Right? Like there's a lot of the flow is only one way, so your limit orders are going to get hit. It's trading this 5 point
Treasury
range.
underscore trader says yeah.
It would make a perfect place to distribute. But the problem is that I think that a lot of the bigger players have been doing that for a long time, and then the retail just keeps buying it. I've never seen anybody post a McClellan indicator before, so this guy Stalin is love. It's kind of interesting, but at the same time, I'm like, it's just another line. Ooh, oof. Look at when the treasuries go, man. What a slaughter.
Treasury underscore trader says it's breaking the highs. Unbelievable.
It has not been like this since like 2018, right? When was it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. I think I just felt a little bit of an earthquake. Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely an earthquake right there. Just a little one. Just a little baby one.
Treasury_trader says nice short you're playing. Took 3 ticks of that move. Where are you heading?
It's a good question. I'm looking at these big orders down here to see what we got, but this is so strong. I'm kind of inclined to just keep it. This is highly discretionary. We're talking here now because I really don't. Oh, actually, no. You know what? I do have a spot. Wait, we need to go back. We need to go back and look. Here's my spot. We're past my spot. My spot was 14.5. Okay, that's where my stop is now. Bottom side, there's 08.5. There's nothing there. There's stuff at 10. I can see why they would put it at 10. Then there's all this stuff up in here. Well, we're just gonna have to watch it really careful and play it by ear. There is some stacking here, and so far today, stacking has been a counter signal. Oh, actually, in fact, well, the E-mini turned back down there pretty hard, but 3,100. Wow, that's a lot at 3,100. Okay, I got out at 13. I saw that one coming. Yeah, the 3,000 stacked there and only 17 went into it, and I wasn't getting my fill at 12.5. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that one before.
Treasury_trader says so it actually didn't take out the highs. That somehow feels good.
Yeah, and we were all like, "Oh, it's almost certain to do it." You know what? Though they could pull back and totally do it. I don't know. Look at that. They're pulling at 13.5. See, this could just be let it come back up here a little bit and then they smack it back down again. I think I got a good move. I think I'm done. Oh, we got the numbers. We got some numbers coming up, right? Well, the PMIs were 37.0 versus expected 36.4 for the composite, and the services PMI was 37.5 versus an estimated 36.9. So the PMIs were better than expected. We'll see what the ISM PMIs are. It's being a little fishy. It seems a little bit too easy for the long, and it's not happening. I'm a little concerned. Oh man, I fixed the AC and the air is coming in. It feels so good. It feels so good. I'm gonna feel like it's too cold later in the day, but right now it feels so good. Uh, what the hell? You're not supposed to be able to see me. Hmm. There's a lot of volume traded here. Well, I'm still not sure what they're gonna do. Like they came back through 13. He's stacking it on there too. In fact, hmm. That was weird. Oh, of course, because we're pulling for the news. Okay, so let's see what the news comes. Okay. Had Trump referring to U.S.-China trade deal says he's not excited about anything with respect to China now. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, here it comes. It looks like the Treasury's went offered just a tiny bit. They definitely are interested in this number. I'm not seeing it come through the wire quite yet, so I don't know if it's hit everybody. Okay. Well, Bank of Canada interest rate decision is 0.25 unchanged as expected. Factory orders. X transportation is negative 8.5% versus a previous negative 3.7. Factory orders is down negative 13% versus an expected negative 14%. Still waiting on the ISM. Still okay. So 45.4 versus a 44.4 estimate for the non-manufacturing PMI. And ISM non-manufacturing business activity number is still not popping up for me. Oh, did you see that? In the E-mini? Somebody just hit that. And then when they flushed back, where's 1,000 into 3103? 2 times. And now 12. Okay, so then the number's still not there. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't know if it's an important number, but That was some hyper aggressive orders there in the E-mini. And yet it didn't really move. Oh, there now it
George
goes.
says US ISM non-MFG index May 45.4 est
Yeah, no, we got
44.4
that
previous 41.8.
Is the manufacturing business activity number never came through. Well, it's a good thing that I got out where I did at 13, but I probably could have sold into this, right? And I have no clue. Like here, I just don't feel like the risk is super great, especially when I see those guys sitting up there. That's like they're gonna squeeze it and self fulfills, right? Okay, now the menu's going. Now the number comes through. It is 41 versus an expected
Treasury
34.
_ trader says there it goes. S pure insanity.
So the numbers did end up being better than expected. That manufacturing business activity in particular was much higher than expected. Let's come over here and check out the VIX. Oh, the VIX is substantially lower today. It's down at 26 versus 28 yesterday. And if I really zoom in here, I can see that our upside target is 3124 and the downside target is 3073. Hmm. And how much volume traded through after all of that? It was a substantial amount of volume at 3100. Now they're pushing higher range extension. Oh, they're going to go through 10. Now, if they go through 10, then, I mean, like, if they go down to 8 and below, then it's really like, oh, we really should have stayed in it. See, lately, this guy has been a fake. Maybe he was just conditioning us so that he could slam us down here. Like they hit him. They hit him. Hmm. Well, on that last high, there was some substantial absorption. Feeling sleepy. Okay, so treasuries are kind of ticking back up. That 10 is turning out to be an interest area for sure. More interest than anything else we've seen lately, at least. I guess there was kind of like 12 half as well, but you can see that the 10 has already outpaced it. Pope condemns racism, says street violence is self-defeating. Good job, Pope. I was concerned that you were going to come down on the side of violence.
Sebastian Marquez says test down in S.
Mm, there has been a little bit of downflow, hasn't there? But overall, it still looks like they want to go long. Show you this chart right here because this is our really our best look at cumulative delta. Well, we're off of the highest levels. We're substantially off of the highest levels. Hmm. Oh, there's still no. There they took 9. Probably we're gonna see it go way further than I expect, huh? Because like we got now they're pushing that last low, right? So if I see a level breakout, maybe I'll take that. But maybe he's doing it. I don't know. Nope. So I'm looking to see some absorption against the momentum, right? Okay, so there's some into. Oh wait, it's not acting quite like how I expected. Man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we were willing to have taken on the news risk, there's that offer again. $5K at 08. so 08 goes. Yeah, they're gonna hold that a little bit. We might need to do a little bit of a pullback here at 08. They're not setting this up like they're gonna do a bust or anything. Doesn't mean they won't, but I could totally like we could do something like that. But not interested in that. What is my bird's problem? I kind of feel like I need to walk. I'm just not feeling comfortable right now, and I don't want to take a trade. We're already up for the day. We caught a good one on the way down. I wish we could have held it, but I think I kind of unintentionally did the right thing. I wasn't like straight up thinking, "Oh, there's the news," but I was thinking like, "Here's the rush. You need to get out now." And then after the news, it just kept going. I didn't feel any really strong feeling about that it needed to continue to go. Now that they're at 08, like this is an area there's going to probably be some bouncing, but I also think that they're probably going to really want to hit it down. So maybe I leave and maybe they'll go and they'll make that new low. I don't know, but the birds are being really loud and it's bothering my wife, so I'm going to move them downstairs and get some air. Okay. So they did go. Not quite as far as maybe I thought they might. The ES is just kind of, yeah. Right when I left was probably the right spot to buy the ES, wasn't it? But you only got 2 points out of it. The Treasury is a way better trade at the moment. The Treasury is just getting demolished. I still feel kind of queasy, so I'm going to try eating something else. Maybe I just didn't have enough for breakfast. Now it goes, huh? Whoa, there was an 8K down there? I wonder if they just really like that manufacturing news or what the drivers are here. Other than just the price that we're at? I don't know. Like, when you get a day like today, that's very often, to me, a signal that, like, okay, something has really changed in the market and people are really moving their money based on what's happened today. And I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, this feels more technical to me. Like, they're moving the way that they are because we hit 3,100 and some people didn't think they were going to, and that's where their stops are. So I know it's a lot more complicated than that for a hedge fund, but that's like the only anchor that I can really put in there. So it's like, they're even absorbing a decent amount on the backwash here at 05. Some of this flow is just super crazy, though. Hmm. They must not, or that person must not have understood what I was saying. Okay, so back above 05. I have to say something that's odd to me is that even though all of the flow seems one direction and I see really, really strong capitulation, it feels like that the move up is so much slower in the E-mini today than it has been. Like in the first hour, we've made 5 points. And no, on other days we were trading like 10 or 20 points in that time, in that kind of a time frame. You know what I mean? So it is a little, the flow is really odd. It's just like it's so one way, and that is something that doesn't surprise me, but then it ends up being so much slower too. I don't know if that means anything or what, but I think that when I'm going back through and I'm looking at all of the fundamental data and everything, I'm going to be keeping a really close eye to see if I can find an explanation for that, because I find it really odd. Sorry, I'm typing a bunch of stuff. Just making some notes here and stuff. They did come back up. Look, now they're at 06.5. So they recovered that one a lot more. I wouldn't be trying to go for reversals in the treasuries, especially after a move like that. But they could come back to 08, maybe. It's possible. I mean, 08, just remember, 08 is a critical level because that was the bottom last time, right? Hmm. 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 There it's going. It's going again, and the treasuries aren't still pushing down. The treasuries look finished for now. Well, we could try taking it. Yeah, in fact, let's try. Oh, wrong. I have to push this button. Hmm. It's kind of interesting the way that people argue certain things, but we'll see how it goes. Probably not relevant to anything you guys are looking at. By the way, yeah, we're still good. Sorry, I've been a little bit quieter today and everything. I don't know. I just feel really off for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just been a long week and stuff. I kind of suspect, though, that it's been what I'm eating. I think I need to fix things up a little bit tomorrow. We'll see. Hmm. Well, it's kind of starting to do this contradictory thing again where they push higher even though you're not getting the market orders in line with it. Well, now the E-mini is doing a level break sort of a setup. I don't know how reliable those are in the E-mini, but it's just did it there at 3108.25. We'll see if they hit up. I mean, look at that 3110. That's 1,000. I haven't seen 1,000 in a while. Okay, so I say they still haven't touched 10. Did hear a click. Where was that click? Ah, well, it's an ask pulling out of the way at 09. Sure. Okay. That right there might be. I don't know. That might be pulling, like luring rather. That might be luring. We do want that if I get down there. By the way, kind of is looking like though they're gonna push it against me. Hmm. 067. So 067 in the 5 years got a big order sitting there now too. I think the E-mini wants that 1,000 lot up at 3110. Hmm. Should have a protective stop in. I never put it in. Now, thousands trading both sides at 3108 in the E-mini. Ticks up, ticks up, ticks up, ticks up. Now they're at the high. I just needed somebody to trade into him, and now he's going to go. Look at all the guys at 3109.75. Like, well, okay, I know where we're going. I'll take the easy one. The easy one. I actually would be sitting on the other side of it because I think that they're going to plow right through that. 2.5% today, though. Wow, is it really? I do see it's like people are pointing out that like some of the indexes are looking a little weaker and stuff, but I'm not so sure it matters, guys. I'm not so sure it matters. There's something else is driving this more than just like really strong demand. Okay, so there you go. See, it went right through it. Hey, Apple Juice asks, "Hey Seth, what is that?" By the way, why am I already? Oh, it's 8:55. Okay, cool. Is what is the economic releases tab? It is a part of Jigsaw. It is a part of Jigsaw. You come in here, and there's this new widgets thing, and then you can come in here and you can say economic releases. So that's where that comes from. It's okay. It's not as good as the news squawk, but they're relatively fast. So it's pretty good. If you don't have any news at all, then this is just invaluable. I think though that if you've got news squawk, that's like a way more helpful. It's kind of interesting. Last week there was so much news, and then now that we don't have it, it seems like that there's not really a whole lot of market moving news. We kind of had that hiccup last week with the China stuff, and now everything's kind of saying like you're free to move up. It's like the turbulence has passed and the pilot has turned on the light that means that you are free to move about the cabin. This is what it feels like to me. And I just can't. It's not like I don't see the things that a lot of you guys are saying where it's like it shouldn't be going up and the economy is not as great as it appears. But I've seen this pretty much my whole trading. I I don't think that those things matter. The thing that matters is the flow. Like, so we've been talking about fundamental data versus market generated data. Okay. So here's the next part. There is fundamental data that can be considered order flow, right? Information that is not necessarily generated from the market itself, but tells us about where the money is going. And that allows us to see order flow on a very high perspective. So if we understand order flow on the short time frame, then we can make some sense of what is happening to the order flow on a longer time frame, right? What is this right now? It's chasing. They're chasing it. They're dumping their treasuries and buying the e-mini because they're all saying, "Well, I can no longer afford to not be involved." What move would you be least surprised of today? Well, I mean, I'm least surprised that the e-mini is moving up. I mean, when I came in here and I saw where it was at, I was like, "Well, they're definitely going to touch 3100 and beyond." The upside target is 3124. So if I was gonna sit around and wait that long, I really think that I got a better trade here in the treasuries. But you know, I would sit and wait for 3124. And maybe they come a little bit short of it, but maybe they do 3120 instead of 3124, right? But that's kind of where it's getting to. So there is some profit taking there at 05. Oh, oh, that's interesting. There's something going on. Well, it's the top of the hour. I didn't have any news or anything, but the the level 2 is all acting weird. The E-mini's turning. They're immediately retracing it. Ugh. Hard to call because they're both pushing really hard. Okay. That was a weird fall, but now look, the E-mini is just right back up there pushing harder. Pushing harder. 31.11 looks juicy. You can see just a couple of people there sitting there looking for it. Oh, big offer at 05 half. Mm. Gross. This is wrong. Put that back on. I think I turned that off at one point and I don't remember why, but Brannigan Barrett, there is energy in these equity markets today. The short positioning is about to come unstuck. A volatile, aggressive straight line bid on excess volume is the time to finally be short equities, and some of the big shorts come unstuck. Yeah, except for the Brannigan was saying short like a long time ago, and then it kind of fizzled out and moved up. And then all of a sudden he turned around and pretended like he was long, and I don't. Well, he's probably trading at day trading. He could have switched. He could have switched either way. He could have. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, Mr. Barrett, because I really like you. You have a sexy accent. Anyways, how are you guys doing here in YouTube chat? Powell low-key shifting himself as real rates rise. So you know it was a story that I saw this morning that kind of surprised me was that mortgage demand was up 13%. That's interesting, huh? That kind of suggests that they don't need the rates to be this low. Do you guys feel the volatility is slowing down these past few days? Well, it definitely is, apple juice. It didn't yesterday. Let's come over here now. I'll show you on. I don't get the VIX with my data provider, but we can come over here and we can look at it on TradingView, and we can see if we really make it big. You know, there was a little bit of a little spike at the beginning of May, and then kind of mid-May. But then here you can see that today, especially, they're really coming back down. Now, where do we got to go to get, we got to get below 20 for it to really be like normal again. So they've still got a ways to go. But, hey, it's not impossible for that to happen, right? Not impossible. Or maybe it will just go. Gotta sneeze. Woo! Ugh. Don't worry, that's not a symptom of coronavirus. It's not a symptom. Where are we at now? Hey, I could have held that a little bit, huh? Oh, no. I got out of the right spot. We're still where I was out. Oh, man. I'm going to try blowing my nose. Allergy season, I guess, and maybe now in my old age I have developed allergies. I wonder, let's go to Real Clear Politics. Are there any polling out today? Because I just feel like that there should be polling. I just feel like that there should be things that we can talk about how people are reacting. Nationals have Biden +8, which is pretty funny. So like I'm looking at some of these, like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. So the national average. So we had one from Monmouth yesterday. They had Biden +11. That still looks like maybe a little bit of an outlier, though. Not as much. Maybe it's reasonable, I guess, given the trend. And then, oh no, that's interesting. Here is one from Pennsylvania that shows from the 29th to the 31st that Trump was up +4. I don't have any earlier polls. Or did not like I'm looking back to see what was the last time that poll ran, but I haven't seen an earlier one. That was a CNBC poll. Like the thing is I think that some of the things with the riots could actually help Donald Trump, but then there's kind of this further push where Democrats have been saying that Donald Trump has handled it poorly, and it doesn't really matter that he expresses support for the protesters because they think he's a white supremacist and he's lying. So I don't know what the polling is actually going to come out to at the end of this. I think that Republicans are going to be super energized about this. Tick up. And by the way, the E-mini did finally kind of like give way there. Like after they were through the 3110, they extended and we got more of a real move up like we've been seeing. So now I think it's a little bit more possible to see an extended pullback that lasts for a long time so that they can then move up into the close. I would watch the close again today, like to see what happens at that 350 bar. I'm not sure how I feel about this push higher before non-farms. I used to monitor the S during non-farms weeks. I wouldn't know. I know it wouldn't be usual in treasuries. Well, what are we looking for non-farms? Let's look at non-farms. Ding, 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 this week. And what do we got tomorrow other than unemployment claims? Oh, revised non-farm productivity and labor costs. And then on Friday, we get hourly earnings and non-farm employment. So the average hourly earnings will be an interesting one. They're looking for a forecast of 1%. Really? That's so weird. Because in May, the May number was like 4.7%. And normally it's spot 3%. So everybody is making money off of is that what we're saying? How is that possible? Where did the average hourly earnings ever go? Oh, well, you know what? Because people lose their jobs, and then because the poorer people lose their jobs, then the number goes up. So the average hourly earnings number probably isn't too important, is it? And then they're looking for a employment change of negative 8,000 versus a previous of negative 20, which would be a recovery of almost half of what had left. Well, if that number misses substantially, that could really hit the market. But I don't know. It's like the thing is it's like it's moving up. If the numbers are good, it continues to push. If the numbers are bad, I'm not sure if that's enough to reverse the flows. So it's like you just can't short this. Like that's all there is to it. Like if you really want to play a bearish play, I would not be doing it by selling the E-mini. Maybe you could use volatility, like you could buy puts. That would be one way if you really thought the volatility was going to come back in. But like the treasuries is like, especially after a day like today, is like a way better risk reward proposition because the Federal Reserve's probably not going to change rates anytime soon. So they kind of will stay up here in general. And if something bad happens, they're really going to take off again. Oh, we have quad witching coming up in June as well. Yes, it's true. We should maybe go and look at where the gammas are for the week. I feel better now that I had that banana. I really think I just haven't been having enough substance for breakfast. VIX is a measure of volatility or just an inverse S&P because it only goes up when SPOOs go down. Okay, so imagination of lurid. The way that the VIX is calculated is a very complicated calculation based on the number of puts and calls being bought and what prices they're being bought at in all of the stocks in the underlying index. So it really truly is a measure of volatility. It tells you how much options are pricing in that the S&P 500 will move. It's not just an inverse of the S&P. And that's how you will see that there will be situations where the S&P is really starting to move up and the volatility doesn't come down because they still have to protect themselves from how much it's moving. Bill Weld numbers in primaries were interesting. Is there any reasonable likelihood that we could barrel through 3150 today? Is there any reasonable likelihood? Absolutely. So there's probably like a 5 to 10% chance. Is it? Let me double check that. Yeah. It's about a 5 to 10% chance that they could hit 3150. Right now, though, it's going so slowly. The chances are you're going to get 3124 and then maybe a significant pullback. If we were going to go up to 3150, there would have to be a lot of acceleration. They'd come to 24 and then reverse, and then So this is a really good thing to know that the target is 24, right? Because when you look at it right now, you're like, well, geez, like this is just going and going. Like, when is it going to stop? How often is it that you see the chart that looks like that? It's just straight up, right? Well, we know that the target, based on what the volatility is pricing in, says that we're not even halfway there. Well, we're a little over halfway there, I guess. At 12, we were halfway there. So, like, it can keep going. See, here's this one in Pennsylvania, and here's this one in Wisconsin. But these ones were done before the weekend. Before the weekend, it was helping him. Maybe now, like when he threatened to use the Insurrection Act and all that, maybe, I don't know. I would guess not, but I'm biased, right? That's probably my bias speaking there. Rod Rosenstein is testifying today. Should reload everything, reset everything. Treasury's kind of pricing like they might go down again. Chewy is short in this. 24. I told them where the target is. If it goes against them, that's their own thing. We'll see. It's a real, like, because Chewy tends to catch pullbacks, a trend day could screw them up. Let's see what happens. It looks like it could turn. Yep, there's bots posting the targets for us. That's 31.25 and 31.51. So we got the right general area. The general area is pretty clear. By the way, also on the pivots, we're already past S2. We're already well past S2. I bet you that a lot of people tried shorting it at 31.10 thinking that it was going to stop at S2 and got blown. Because there's a lot of people that trade those floor pivots, huh, John? But every time I think about the floor pivots, I think about bots because I was asking about them. Some other people were like really believers in them, and John is like, "No, they're nonsense." and I actually tend to agree that they're nonsense too because they're based on closing prices and especially like yesterday, closing prices really questionable, right? We'll see what they do today, but it could be a similar situation. Getting a lot of activity when I'm typing here. I'm getting a little bit of. I wonder if I come over here and look at my processor usage. Yeah, like my CPU is all the way up at 45%. Do I have something on here that's making it hard? I don't know. Maybe it's just something else that I have open. How about now? Nope. For some reason, there's just a lot of volume coming through, I guess. Oh, now it come down. Some people. Floor trader pivots in an electronic market random line theory likely more accurate. Yeah, you think that ZB is trying to find floor at 175.03 off the test of the level. 09 range. Yeah, was a big move down. Could just be profit taking on the shorts by London traders. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that move down was something that I don't think we've seen in years. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you agree? I think it's been years since we've seen. something here. Anyways. I'm not sure about yours, but at least 3 weeks. Well, it's not the largest downtrend that we've had. That's for sure. Last, because we were like what 3 weeks ago. It probably was 3 weeks ago. We were at these levels, and we had some pretty hard downtrend days like that. But the thing that I say is like hasn't happened in years is like the one-sidedness of it. Like when it was coming down, I took a short somewhere up in here, and well, first of all, I took some longs out, some really ill-advised longs in the end. Like I didn't know they were going to have a downtrend day, but I kind of suspected it. But I was also seeing stuff that was saying that we were going to reverse a little bit, so I took those and I lost a little bit. So then I took the down and I got a really good down and I got out at 13. Okay. And then the news came out and all of this has been just been down, 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 down. And I'm always looking like, okay, well, maybe if this is really trending down, then when we get to like, you know, 10 or sorry 11, 10 half this area, maybe we'll see like some real iceberging on the offer and they'll go and they'll do the level break sort of a thing. And they would never do it. It was like the bid would just pull and they would just go down, and the bid would pull and the offer would stack and they would go down. It was just like they did not give you any time. Literally your only choice was you had to hit into it. And that's what I mean by like, I don't think I've seen anything quite like this for years. This reminds me of the way that the treasuries moved back when we were like down at the lows, like when it was like 2%, 3% or whatever that key level was that we were all, that everybody was all freaking out about, right? You remember all that? That was really odd flow. And this flow reminds me of that. So the people that are involved must be similar. That says yep. It was a crazy downtrend. I mean, if I had known that they weren't going to, they were going to keep going, I took it off partly because it was turning back, but also I knew news was close. I had forgotten about it by that point, but I still knew that I was looking for an exit. But man, I really could have just like straight up gotten back in right then and there. Sunday Driver, are you getting rich with your trading? No. I'm not trading it live in the summer. So even though I've been doing pretty good lately, I don't think I've had a losing day in like 3 weeks actually. let me come in here and check. There was some days though that weren't so great. So like coming back to the 18th. Not bad. Not bad. There are some trades with the treasuries in here, so if we get rid of the treasuries, I think it's even more. Oh, it's not. Actually, even the treasury trades end up profitable as well over the past little bit. Let's see here. What's the longest? Okay, so this one wasn't very good. And somehow I pulled it out. That was the 28th. So that one makes me a little nervous. This whole string kind of makes me a little nervous. Oh, and that too. Yeah, there's actually a lot of really bad stuff in there. But when I look at like the past week or so, well, and even on Monday there was one like that too, huh? Or no, wait, that was further back. That was last Monday. Let me switch it to be just this week. Oh, that's right. It hardly took anything yesterday. I didn't take any today, and then we had that day was good. That day I didn't do anything, and then this day was good. I made $50. Hmm. Sunday Driver says, I'm thinking about doing podcasting. What mic do you have? It looks kind of cool. So this is a Shure 55 SH. I picked it because it looks cool. It's not really the most effective mic for the job that I'm doing or that you probably want to do. Um, you know, probably, well, the easiest thing is to just go and get a Blue Yeti, right? Blue Yeti sounds great. Blue Yeti sounds great and is more than sufficient for like 99% of all situations. So, but like I would think more about how you what you're set. Like if it's just going to be an audio podcast, then that changes things a lot, right? But for me, I need to be able to like see my screen and I don't want stuff in front of me. So I had to rig this up because the kind of stand that would really allow you to do that effectively is expensive. Um, those kinds of things actually end up being a bigger deal, believe it or not. Oh man, well it is time for me to go, but they just broke another new high. So we'll see how far they get. 31.24, that's the target. We'll see. Tomorrow, well, like I said, the 350 move today will be interesting. Tomorrow should, well, I don't know if tomorrow will be that great, but Friday is going to be very interesting. Where are we going? It's really starting to become unbelievable. And yet I look at it and it continues to tell me to go long. So what are you going to do? I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable.